What's going on, guys? MariK here. Today we're going to be covering a topic that some of you have been asking me for such a long time that most of you probably forgot you even asked me about it. It's something that, just like with the Pokemon tier list videos, we've been looking at covering for so long, and honestly, we haven't even just scratched the surface of all the things that we had planned to do and that you guys asked us to do. But today we're going to be taking a look at the campaign levels specifically for... Why is that doing that? Thank you. For Halo Combat Evolved. We've got to start where we started, where our story began in the Halo franchise. And what better time to do it than when we're drinking the Cherry Citrus Game Fuel, no less. So starting off with the beginning of the game is the Pillar of Autumn. Can I move it? Okay. Well, my computer did that thing where it does it on its own, and it put it straight in F tier. Okay, it's not letting me grab hold of it. There we go. Alright. Pillar of Autumn. It's a fun level. It introduces you to the game. It's one that is okay to play over and over again because it is not a bad level. I feel like I kind of want to put this one in... I think we're going to put Pillar of Autumn in B tier. And the reason why I think we're going to put Pillar of Autumn in B tier, it's a fun level. It introduces you to the game. You get to try out, the two basic human weapons. You get to try out the two basic Covenant weapons. You see two of the Covenant. They introduce you to the Grunt, the Elite, and just some of the play mechanics. And so they don't throw too much at you. It's a very simple level. Even on Legendary, there's really not much excuse for dying besides a random grenade probably thrown by a Marine. So I think B tier is pretty solid for it. Next, we're going to be going with the level named after the game, Halo. This level to me is fun, but not super fun, if that makes any sense. It introduces us to Jackals, introduces us to the Needler, we get to see Banshee, we get to see, the Warthogs. It's kind of crazy we actually get introduced to the Banshee before we get introduced to the Ghost. But this is a fun level. The beginning is really a pain in the ass on Legendary when you're trying to clear that first landing zone. And while you get the Warthog, you don't really get to do a whole lot of Warthog action. And so I feel like this is going to go in B tier as well. Now, people are going to be hating on me, and I understand that. But, I mean, you guys have been complaining about us putting too much stuff high up on our tier list. So we're just going to be sticking with, we're going to be hard on them. All of them. Then we've got Truth and Reconciliation. Truth and Reconciliation, for me, is going to go in A tier. And I know a lot of people don't like this level. One, I like kind of like... I like the nighttime-y levels. Specifically, this is a really nice one. Especially because there's all the sniping you get to do, and I really love that part. But then the part in the ship is really fun as well. Although not really as great with the sniper, but I never have any problems using the sniper inside the ship. And I mean, you can no scope with it easily enough, and it'll stagger an elite and then just finish them off. So I find this to be a really fun one. It is a longer level, so it's harder to come back to, but it's never not fun when I'm playing it. Then, speaking of never not fun, the Silent Cartographer. And I feel like this is one that people would really hate me for if I ranked it low. And I'm going to go ahead and put Silent Cartographer in... Does it deserve S tier? No, I think it deserves A tier. First of all, the beginning of the level is fantastic. You and a bunch of Marines storm the beach. Then you get a Warthog and you can drive the Warthog around, but there's really not a lot you're doing with the Warthog besides, you know, mowing down just some infantry, because again, there's no Ghost, there's no Banshee, so there's no other enemy vehicles to really take advantage of all the Warthogs lying around on the island. You get the rockets though, and it's a fun level, and I like that you get to go through and traverse through the innards of the Halo ring, while you also have some action out on the surface. It's a really good mix, and we get, you know, you get a couple hunter encounters. You get 1, 2, I believe 3 hunter encounters total. Is it 3 or is it 4? I think it's 4. And I mean, that's a lot for one mission. And I mean, they're easy to kill enough in this game, so it's fun to just jump around them and then pop them in the back of the pistol. But overall, it's a really good level. If there was a little bit more vehicle action to be had, I would put it in S tier, but since there's not, I'm going to keep it down in A tier, just so I don't get people complaining that there's too much in the S tier. However, what we are going to put in the S tier is Assault on the Control Room. I don't know anybody that dislikes Assault on the Control Room. In fact, the only complaints that have anything to do with the Assault on the Control Room are the fact that people complain that 2 Betrayals is most of this level, but backwards. And while somewhat of a fair assessment, that's not a complaint about this level in particular. This is the first level that we... Actually, this is the first level we see ghosts. This is the first level that we see Wraith tanks. It's the first level that we see the Scorpion and get to drive that beast. And you get to drive that beast for a majority of the level. And it's such a sad part in the game when you have to get out. Especially because if you could drive it just a little bit longer into that next engagement, that part would be a little easier, especially since there are a couple ghosts. But I usually just grab the camo and then book it to the doorway, and you can just skip most of that stuff on Legendary, so it's fine. This level has it all, the exception of the shotgun. You can get the rockets, you can get snipers, you can get camo, you get Warthog, you can get a ghost, you can get the Banshee. If you shoot it off of the platform with the Scorpion, you can get the Scorpion. I mean, there's so many ways to play this level, and honestly, it's so fun. And there's something about playing in a really snowy environment that I don't know what it is. It's just very visually appealing. What's not so visually appealing is when you're in a nasty swamp area like you are in 343 Guilty Spark. This level, no doubt, I would put it in S tier. I would. But I'm trying to be hard on levels. I'm putting it in A tier. This level is so fun. First of all, the first time you play it, you'll never forget. Like, I played this in 2001, and I still remember my first playthrough of this game, and especially this level and the flood, and getting lost in this level was crazy. You got non-stop action. First time getting the shotgun, and you go ham with that shotgun. There's not a lot of Covenant to fight outside of at the very beginning, and because you're mostly just fighting against the flood. But it leaves such a memory. It leaves such a mark on your memory that it's such a good level that I can't put it below anything below A tier. What's definitely going below A tier is the library. Now, where are we going to put the library? I'm going to have to put it in C tier. Now, I know what you guys are thinking. Just C tier? It's like the worst level in the franchise. It's really not. It's really not. And outside of playing it on Lasso, it's not even that difficult. Even on Legendary, the library is not that big a deal. It's easier to keep track of where you're going in the library than it is in 343 Guilty Spark. And it's a little dark. It's a little annoying to see. One of the things that the Anniversary Edition did right was fix the lighting, because that level is atrocious as far as lighting goes. You get the Sentinels to help you out with some encounters. You get a lot of dialogue from Guilty Spark. You make some corpse about your handling of the Flood encounters. And then you get a little bit of backstory and stuff. And it's really cool lore-wise, but visually it's boring. You're going through the same thing, doing the same thing. The Flood, more or less, they play the same, so there's not as much enemy variety and no vehicles, and so it's not horrible. I don't hate it, so I'm just gonna leave it in C tier. Then we got Two Betrayals, which I gotta be honest is going in A tier. I don't care that it has you going backwards somewhat. I mean, first of all, you have to go backwards a little bit because when you respawn at the beginning, you're in the control room. There's only one way out, which is outside of the control room, which is where you left off on Assault on the Control Room. Yeah, it's going to look a little the same. Where do you go? Well, that's a closed-in little fucking area in the canyon. So you're going to have to go out the same way you came in. It doesn't really bother me. There are some different areas you go to, and the encounters are different while you're backtracking, but it's not as bad as people make it out to be. You're still getting to play in this snowy area that's just really fun, and Assault on the Control Room was great, so just doing it differently is still fucking great. I'm just not going to put it as high up as Assault on the Control Room because some of it is a little more irritating, and you don't get the fun of the Scorpion and that kind of stuff, but still a great level. What is not a great level, however, is keys. And I hate keys. A lot of times I would rather play the library. I'm going to put it in C tier with the library because I don't feel like it's a bad level. The reason I hate it so much is especially because back in 2001... It's a dark level. It's fine once you get back on the ship, but when you're down underneath the ship, it's so dark. If your flashlight dies, you're fucked. All that you have is the glowing coolant for, some visibility, and the Flood make that level really, really aggravating. Am I saying it's worse than the library? A little bit, but honestly, they both just... The two worst levels of the game, and that's just kind of how it is. I didn't expect the tier list to be this even, but the last on this list is the Maw, and this level's going up in S tier. It doesn't have as much going for it as Assault on the Control Room, and no level in this game does. It's the best level in the game for every reason I said, but the Maw is a little bit more fun for me because you've got that sense of urgency that you've got to blow up the ship and then get the fuck out. The Flood's taking over the ring, and you've got this whole plan that's going on, and your part of the plan is to just shoot through it. Plenty of shotgun action. I think the only thing there isn't is a sniper until the very end when you get to the armory, which is useless because snipers do nothing to the Flood. And so you got plenty of shotgun, there's rockets, you got Flood, you've got Covenant. I don't really recall that there's many Jackals that you fight, which is kind of odd because I know there was no Jackals in the Pillar of Autumn, but there was no Hunters either. And there are Hunters on the Maw. So it's kind of weird that they're not there. I can't recall them being there. So yeah, it's just, but it's not, who cares? Jackals are the most annoying, boring enemy to fight anyways. There's no vehicle action per se, but you do have the Warthog run, which back in 2001, that was a hell of a fucking ending. It's still a hell of a fun fucking ending. And even on Legendary, there's no way in hell I could ever come close to running out of time. It's just so fun to just do that Warthog run at the end. You get a little bit of killing going. You can run some stuff over if you do it. If you play with co-op, one of you can drive, one of you can gun some things down. It's a fantastic end to the game, and it easily deserves to be an S tier. So these videos are going to be a little bit shorter than some of the Pokemon ones, but trust me, we're going to get to some longer Halo ones. You're just going to have to wait for those to come out. this is just going to be our final ranking for Halo 1. Like I said, I know some people probably put Silent Cartographer in S tier. Some people might put Two Betrayals, because I know there are some people who really like it. But otherwise, I don't... Maybe Halo or Pillar of Autumn going up to A tier. Some people might put Truth and Reconciliation lower than A tier. But overall, I don't think we really stepped on too many toes with this one. Nobody's going to complain about the library or keys being at the bottom. But, I mean, if anybody wants to try and convince me otherwise, feel free to let me know in those comments down below, and perhaps we can have a civil conversation about it.